Thunderbolts thoughts. Number one.
I went to see it based on Paul's review, and he wasn't wrong. He was correct. It's a fun movie. I think we've just forgotten how to watch things on an independent.
That's my thought.
Basis. Yeah,
I totally agree with Badger.
Oh, hi, Robert. I'm glad you're here. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. I too enjoyed this film a great deal. I mean, I was in as soon as I heard her monologue at the very beginning of the movie, and I think we're trying to look at things. We've been sort of conditioned to look at things to come at it from the identity politics of it all. But one of the things that I think that I enjoyed about this movie is, so I just finished working personally on a big project, and I worked on it for the better part of a year. And when it's over and you deliver the project, you're just kind of sitting around. It's just gone. You're just done. And you're asking yourself, well, what now? What do I do now? And I think any creative person, especially if you worked in Hollywood or making something, once you've done it, everyone asks you, well, what are you going to do next? And you don't know. You're sort of in this place, and it really spoke to me when I was listening to her speaking. And she's cleaning up Valentina's messes and running around. And I've always thought that they've never dealt in the MCU with the ramifications of half the population being snapped away. Once we know that there's all this cosmic craziness out there, how does humanity react? And it was really interesting. I saw this movie as a direct sequel to Black Widow. And I think, you're dealing with Alexei and Yelena, who in the aftermath of Thanos and losing a family member, and knowing that your family. I mean, I think the Black Widow is a mid-level Marvel movie, but the first half I think worked really well, and the introduction of that family worked really well. It was just let down by a generic ending.
The father-daughter dynamic worked really well, Robert.
Absolutely, and I think that this played more into that, and it really was like Paul said, and Badger. The audience I saw this was a packed theater, and people really, really liked it. They really responded to it, and I think it's relatable. What it was missing for me, if anything, is the larger. And I was saying this before. All of Phase 4, 5, and 6 is missing the universe of the MCU movies. They're all kind of like this random collection of films that haven't led anywhere. Whereas the first three phases were building up to Infinity War and Endgame, and you could feel that. All movies were adding mortar to the bricks. And by the time you got to Infinity War and Endgame, everyone's like, oh my God, you feel it was all earned. And these movies, I mean, at least this movie had ramifications that were part of the first movie in Phase 4. And I thought the people that I saw it with, and I just really enjoyed it for what it was. And if you think about it, it's a movie that really only has 3 main locations. And that scene in the fortress on the top of the mountain, that was like a third of the movie.
I really liked that scene. I liked the characters more at the end than I did in the beginning. And just for there was no messaging or wokeness. John Walker beat the shit out of Yelena and Taskmaster very easily. The jokes were fine. There were some kind of dick jokes when he was showing them their gun, but it was very funny. Oh yeah, it's very thick, very long. Yeah, it was funny. So that's the thing. God, all we've been asking is for them to try, and it really just felt like they tried and weren't preaching, and that's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, you definitely feel their heart was in the right place, and I haven't felt that in so long. And especially with Walker's character, I liked him before, and I liked him best in that show, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But it felt like they were really genuinely trying to make him into a sympathetic, relatable, likable character, and I liked him a lot. And they became fully fleshed out characters. They became real to me. Prior to this, I didn't really care about them. I'd seen Black Widow. I'd seen, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But this was kind of like an origin story. I didn't do much research. I didn't have to. It just not instantly, but it did make me invested. And that's mission accomplished in my mind. If you make me care, if I'm entertained and I'm invested in the story, then that's well worth the price of admission.
Well, you've all been hoodwinked. The title of the movie is not Thunderbolts. It's the New Avengers from MCU Updates on X. The New Avengers is being added to the title on the poster for Thunderbolts. It's being changed. I I think this is very clever. I like this.
Did you see the footage of the Bucky of Sebastian putting up posters, walking around putting up posters?
Yeah, posters have been updated. It's been updated. My understanding, it's been updated on Fandango when you go to get tickets. It's
Chris, you were right? You said it was going to be Dark Avengers, but they changed. It's New Avengers.
Yeah, New Avengers. So yeah, I said this months ago that the asterisk was that the title was not that. It was something Avengers.
It should have been the Net Avengers, considering the Russian component.
And I gotta say, Paul, I really liked your analysis on George yesterday, talking about it's a Russian influence. Yeah. I thought that was great analysis.
Yeah, it reminded me of a Tarkovsky movie and The Sacrifice, Solaris. Again, Russian movies are depressing, and that's what's enjoyable about them.
I like David Harbour's Red Guardian. I thought it could be annoying.
You guys obviously had a way different experience than I had, because I saw it twice as well, and it's fine if the bar is shit, right? If the bar is shit, then it's fine because it raises just above shit, right? Still shit nonetheless, man.
It's worser than shit. Oh, never.
Look, no, here's the thing. There are things that were fine about it. I like John Walker. I think he was the best thing about the movie. Him and the Century, Louis Pullman, I think his name is. I thought they were the best things about the movie. But dude, that scene where they're crawling out of the bunker the first time, that first scene where they're all back to back. I got to be honest. I was out after that because of that scene. That scene was so ridiculous, dude. And then everything that followed was ridiculous after that, man. I thought the fight scenes were cool. That was fine. But you have a movie about depression, right? But then you have these lame jokes that you're supposed to interject into the depression. So we're supposed to laugh at their pain, but we're supposed to feel bad for their pain. Come on,
the Bucky and Red arguing over who got the better soldier super serum. That was hilarious.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, there were a few scenes that were fine. Like I said, I mean, although let's be honest, Sebastian Stan phoned in that whole performance.
Yeah, like he looked like. And I will agree that my least favorite part was when they climbed up the tube back to back. I absolutely, completely agree with you.
But there were so many scenes like that where it seemed so forced and kind of generic and.
Yeah, but there's so many high points when Red is coming with the huge limo. And they're trying to hide from the bad guys, and he's honking his horn and going, "Hey, Amir, let's go!"
Right? And how did he know where to find him?
He was tracking Yelena's phone. He was tracking Yelena's phone. He heard the overall warehouse, and he was tracking her phones right there.
Did they show him? I don't know.
It just. I love the duality of the immigrant who loves America and capitalism so much, and then the depression of everyone else.
Yeah, and he played that shtick a little too much in the film, man. Because every scene was, honestly, it was like, to me, it was almost like a montage of like Kramer from Seinfeld, busting into Jerry's house. It was like it was like that all the time with Red Guardian, right? It was him being this boisterous, loud Russian through the whole film. And it's like, dude, we get it.
I disagree.
I disagree.
I love was one of the best parts about this. I loved his take on heroism and the pride he felt serving his country. Those were it wasn't just he was there to be a joke. Felt like
he was really there to be comic relief.
Well, they needed some comic relief. Everyone else is so serious, but he provided like a nice. He enabled Yelena to be real to me as a real character I can like and relate to. And it felt a lot like early X-Men and Age of Ultron. Very introspective and a smaller scale.
Yep.
I know. They wanted to introduce these characters for the first time. It felt like to me they've been introduced before, but they weren't real before. I don't know.
Bro, she says I'm so lonely and calls him daddy at the end and fucking I don't know, man. That was an actual performance.
Like I said, I think you guys took a lot more away from it.
Thunderbolts, the Thunderbolt, when they're talking about the past and their good memories together, like it made them like real characters to me.
And they just want to be heroes. Like, they're tired of doing.
Yeah, they felt more like mutants to me, and how they were scaled down and have baggage as far as like early X-Men movies.
Right, and then nothing gets resolved with their baggage, right? Ever. Like
it does get resolved. They come to the conclusion that they have to move on and be heroes. And so they're going to spend the rest of their lives being heroes.
You have a scene and an opportunity when they're in the void where they could have kind of like tackled their issues individually, and this is all because of the Void, obviously. Like, if you're going to use a character like the Void, that's what you use them for.
But they did that, symbolizing them by all linking up Guardian style and freeing him. That's literally what that was, all them overcoming their trauma.
Yeah, it worked in one movie.
But them ending the movie with a Care Bear hug, that's how they beat the villain. Like,
it was more of a Constantine.
Dante, you can't beat every villain to death with your fist. Sometimes you can do it this way. Also, they had no way to beat him. He's literally OP beyond OP.
Then you don't use a character that's a god to fight a team like this.
Why not?
You do.
Why can't?
That's exactly right.
Paul, tag you back in.
No, that's exactly right. That was actually the best part of the movie, was a bunch of people who were completely incapable of taking on this godlike person and then finding a way to do it. That to me is interesting writing, as opposed to just pummeling someone.
But I don't want to see a Thunderbolts movie where they win with the power of love, man. Like,
it was more, they won with the power of Constantine.
It was a call to action. It was that we all have done horrible things, but what matters is what you do next, what you do with what you have the time left. And they all chose to be fucking heroes.
All of that stuff is great. Honestly, all of that stuff is great. I agree that, all of these things work. If for me in a superhero movie, I want to see superheroes kicking ass. That's what I wanted to see when I showed up to the Thunderbolts, and I didn't get superheroes kicking ass outside of a couple of scenes where they're saving people, but they went and fought the Sentry and got their tails kicked. And I was just like, all right, look, these guys have no business being in the same room with this dude. So why did they use this character? Or could they not think of a more like thoughtful, clever way to defeat this character? Like, it's nothing wrong with putting like lesser than heroes up against a godlike guy, but you got to find something more than the power of friendship and hugs and love in order to be. That's to me is where this thing went off the rails as well. The ending was trash.
I don't think superhero different than the. How's this different than the?
I don't think superhero fans want to see that.
But this is the 36th.
I'm not saying that that's a bad move, but I don't think superhero fans. This is the reason why this movie, in my opinion, doesn't work, and why it's not going to get legs.
Yeah,
it's exactly why it legs over the next few. It worked for some people. Maybe you could say
this is the 36th Marvel movie.
Box office shows
the 36th
that a lot of people like
MCU.
Grow up, DA.
But don't you think? Don't you think though that what Marvel needs? I mean, how many times do we want to watch two teams of heroes or villains and heroes beat each other up? The funny thing about the Sentry is the Sentry is a superhero. The Void is a superhero, but behind both of them is this broken man. He's not Superman. He's not Steve Rogers. He doesn't have any backbone at all. And yet now he's been imbued with the power of the cosmos. He's the most powerful creature on earth. Who isn't ready to be that person, can't be that person, won't be that person. Even at the post-credit scene, he's afraid to be that person. Yeah. And that makes him an interesting character.
It does make him an interesting character, but it doesn't necessarily make for a great villain for a movie. And for
he wasn't supposed to be the villain.
If I read a comic like this, I would have threw the comic down pissed off.
One of the great things in this movie was Allegra, the scene with Allegra when you think they're going to take her out and she turns it into a press opportunity and gets them into the
we own you now. We own your ass now.
That was awesome.
Well, why didn't Yelena walk through that and then agree to, like she was about to take her out because she's like, you're the bad guy, you're the villain. And so now Yelena decides to side with her. It's like, well, we own you. To me, that's a terrible look for Yelena's character.
No,
I don't like Yelena less. I like Yelena less because of that move. Why would she do that? You were supposed to be learning from all of this, and now you're turning around and becoming exactly the thing that you hate. Yeah,
but she's not. Now she controls the evil Hillary Clinton woman, and she has her hero team, which what she wanted the whole goddamn movie to be a hero in the public view, not to be working in the dark killing people.